Hey everybody, Tekking101 here, and in today's video we will be saluting the the Marines. Yes, those brave soldiers of the sea that fight the scourge of those filthy pirates with their Jolly Rogers. The Marines are the warriors, man. They wear white. So therefore, they're the good guys, and they got a structure and a chain of command, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to go through each of the 19 unique ranks in the Marines and the characters that have been introduced, the canon characters that are introduced. No fillers in this. So sorry, we're not talking about Jonathan. Okay. We'll give an honorable mention to Jonathan because he was probably the most awesome anime-only Marine that was introduced. But yeah, we're going to go through these ranks and the people that hold them. It's important to mention, though, that if you want just like a straight-up list, you don't want to hear me rattle off each of them or wait for me to get to that certain point. You probably just go to One Piece Wiki. I'll leave a link in the description below of the Marine ranks if you just want that straight-up list. The reason I'm doing this is because I thought it would be a fun video, and also I have my own ideas on different ranks and the characters. I get to talk about a wide array of characters in this video. Not going to be a straight-up discussion because we just don't have time, but I'll get to mention every Marine that's been introduced in this story, which is pretty fucking cool. So, just remember also that the ranks themselves don't really mean much of anything in terms of the actual story, so don't feel like you really have to remember what the authority of like a Commodore to a Commander to a Lieutenant to a Captain is. Really it only matters when you get to the top three ranks: Fleet Admiral, Admiral, and Vice Admiral. Those are the only three that really matters, that pose a legitimate threat to the Straw Hat Pirates, and to the main cast in general, so don't feel like you have to memorize each and every one, but I thought it would be interesting to go through. Okay, wasted enough time. This is going to be a long-ass video. Let's get to it. Okay, so the Marines have 19 unique ranks, possibly 18, in their organizational structure, okay? And these are broadly broken up into two categories: Marine officers and then the infantry. The infantry make up the bottom from the 19th rank all the way up to the 12th rank, and then the officers comprise the 11th rank up to the number 1 rank. So we're going to start with the infantry, or the sailor division. The lowest possible rank that you could have in the Marines is rank 19. You're the chore boy. Now, the reason I don't really consider this an actual rank is because it feels like this is not actually something that you are admitted to first thing into the Marines. It's not like, in order to become a Marine, you have to be a chore boy first. In fact, the Japanese term for chore boy means odd jobs. You're basically like a janitor, okay? It's just like, you don't even get a proper uniform when you're a chore boy. They just kind of toss you a white shirt and a scarf and a mop, and like, okay, boy, you want to work with the big guns. Yeah, well, Vice Admiral, John Giant just came out of the bathroom, so you better gonna go mop that shit up, right? This is what Kobe and Helmeppo were when, after the whole events with Captain Morgan in Shelltown. Basically, Shelltown had a Marine base. Captain Morgan was, a corrupted captain there. So after Luffy and Zoro defeated him, the place was in the hands of Commander Ripper, and he gave Kobe and Helmeppo just these jobs there, not actual Marines, just because they helped them out. So he's like, all right, I'll give you guys jobs working for the Marines, but you're not actually doing anything yet. You're basically sweeping the floor. And then eventually Garp shows up and then takes Kobe and Helmeppo under his wing, and that's how they eventually rose to the ranks that we'll get to when we get to there. So it also could be used as a demotion status, like like a Marine that's maybe court-martialed or something, and they're not like executed. They didn't do anything bad enough to get executed or anything, but in order to keep them in the organization, so maybe they don't spill information, so they can keep an eye on them, they'll maybe demote them to chore boy status just to keep them around, but still in the organization in a sense. So it is part of the organization, but not really. The actual first rank of the Marines that you get when you actually join is the rank of Seaman Recruit, and there are 3 ranks of Seaman. This is serious here. This is serious business. There are 3 ranks of Seaman. Seaman Recruit is rank 18, and this is, I believe, the actual rank that you will achieve when you, I'm sure there's a test you have to do, test your mettle in a training camp or whatever, and then after you pass all that stuff, this is the first rank you'll achieve when you just join the Marines. There's been 3 people so far that have held this rank. Ukari, a minor character that appeared once again in Shelltown under Captain Morgan's rule, just a brand new Marine there, a brand new recruit, and then, of course, you have Django and Full Body. Now, Django is a new Marine, so this makes more sense why he didn't start off as a chore boy. Django started off as a Seaman Recruit, which is, I think, the lowest official rank. And then Full Body was actually a lieutenant that got demoted to seaman recruit status. There was a whole cover page there I'm not going to go into, but part of the reason how Django was kind of like his crimes as a pirate were forgiven and he was allowed to join the Marines, part of that condition was that Full Body was demoted. So they're probably not seaman recruits anymore because the time skip occurred and we don't know what's up with them yet, but that was the last rank that we knew they held. Also, once you have this rank, there is sort of a dress code you're supposed to wear. You're supposed to have the t-shirt and the scarf and the Marine cap. That's notable for all Marines. Full Body and Django are actually breaking that dress code. Oda came out and just said, yeah, they're not actually dressing how they're supposed to. And they're also under Hina's command, who probably just doesn't give a fuck. Okay, so next is rank 17, which is Seaman Apprentice, the second of the Seaman rankings, and actually no characters have ever held this ranking of Seaman Apprentice. So we're going to move right along to the highest rank of Seaman, the Seaman First Class, which is rank 16. The only person that we've ever known to have this is another minor character that appeared in the East Blue Saga. This is Seaman First Class Lines, or Linus, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, he was one of the members on Full Body's crew back when Full Body was a lieutenant. Full Body captured Geen of the Dawn Krieg pirate armada, and then while Full Body was in the Baratier having his, dinner ruined by Sanji, and having his date ruined, essentially, Lines came in with the news that Geen had escaped, and then Geen shot Lines, whatever, in cold blood, and he died. So he's dead, but yeah, he was the only Seaman First Class shown in the story. Next up is another rank that nobody is known to have so far. This will be the 15th highest rank in the Marines, and this is that of Petty Officer. So we don't know anybody that has this rank, although once you do get to this rank, you're kind of allowed to customize your own outfit. You're no longer a puny seaman, so you can wear something beyond just the casual t-shirt and scarf and cap, although most tend to keep the dignity of the Marines, although I'm sure there's a limit to what you could wear. I'm sure that, most things are cool as long as you probably just keep with the professionalism. Also, another side note here with a lot of Marines, we saw this with Kobe, is that when Marines tend to salute, they do this. Which is an odd way to salute, because most people, in the military, they salute like this, right? With their hand, horizontal. From what I can understand by this, back in the day, historically, working on ships, with rope and a lot of stuff, you had tar going on, and so a lot of times your hands, if you were a sailor, were blackened by tar and other dirt and grime. So if a commanding officer was coming down, it would be kind of rude to salute them with this blackened hand showing. So that's why they chose to salute like this, like, hello, Captain, how are you this morning? Something like that. So that's a little bit just a historical note there. Okay, so that was that. Moving on to the 14th highest rank in the Marines, that of Chief Petty Officer. Now, there are a few people who have held this rank. Two of them, Mashikaku and Shine, are actually Chief Petty Officers on Hina's crew. So we saw them there at the end of the Alabasta arc. And then finally, we have Asahaja, I don't know how to pronounce that, but he was a Marine that actually had his shadow stolen by Gecko Moria. And we saw him at the end of the Thriller Bark arc when all of the shadows returned to their rightful owners. He had his shadow returned to him. He was either probably for that reason in Grand Line or in the West Blue, because that's where Thriller Bark originated, in the West Blue. Some former people that held this rank of Chief Petty Officer, Morgan had it before he was promoted to Lieutenant Commander. Helmeppo held this after his training with Garp. He was a Chief Petty Officer. That's when he met up with Luffy at the Water 7. Next up is Unlucky 13th. This is Master Chief Petty Officer. No one holds this rank currently in the series, but two people that we do know very well held it at one point. One was Tashigi, Smoker's assistant. She held this position at Logtown when they were first introduced. This was Tashigi as a Master Chief Petty Officer. Eventually, when Smoker was promoted, and I guess she was also promoted at the same time, that's when Tashigi, moved up beyond that to the position of Ensign. And Kobe held this rank in also Water 7 when he appeared with Helmeppo. That was the rank he held under Garp's tutelage, and that's, he had a cool outfit and he trained his muscles, so he was a little bit stronger at that point. So finally, the highest rank of the infantry is Warrant Officer, and that's rank number 12, but this is a position that nobody has ever held before in the story, so kind of sucks. It's the highest of the infantry, but we just don't know anybody. We don't know anything about it, but that is Warrant Officer. Okay, so moving on to the commanding officers in the Marines, the commissioned officers, I should say. So the lowest of the ranks of the officers, I should also mention that when you become an officer, you are now permitted to wear the logo of justice on your back. You see a lot of Marines wearing different kinds of outfits that have the kanji for justice on their back. Only commanders and the officers can wear those. So ensign is the lowest of that, a rank 11, and Tashigi used to have this rank before her promotion to captain, before the time skip. Also, I know this is not canon, but Daddy Masterson had this rank before he left the Marines. Daddy Masterson, though, was slated to appear in the in the manga. It's just that Oda did not have time, so I feel like I should mention him here. He was also pretty badass. The only character that we know that has this so far is Mako, or Mako, and he was another one of Hina's subordinates. He tried to capture the Straw Hats at the end of Alabasta. That was Mako. Moving on to the 10th rank, it is Lieutenant Junior grade. There's, like the Seamans and the petty officers, there are 3 ranks to lieutenants. This is the lowest, Lieutenant Junior grade. We know Stalker and Rokukaku hold this rank. Now, Stalker was actually the chubby dude with the weird darkened eyes that was creeping on Hancock when they were transporting Hancock from Amazon Lily to Impel Down. That fat guy, that was taking the notes on Hancock. Like Hancock likes to, eat this much food a day because Luffy was with her. That's Stalker. Rokukaku is a guy that was on Morgan's, list during Shelltown. That was one of his higher officers. It's actually really confusing because there's another character called Commander Ripper that looks almost exactly like Rokukaku, and I'll get to that. Rokukaku just means like hexagonal, or like 6 sides, and his face is kind of shaped like a hexagon, so that's Oda's, varieties of puns, him. But moving on to just straight up lieutenant, that is the 9th highest rank. And nobody holds it currently, but Full Body used to have this before his dance off with Django and something with a court and whatever. He ended up getting demoted to Seaman Recruit, but it was okay because he made a new friend in Django, and they were both Seaman Recruits. So maybe Full Body's dream is to kind of get back up to the rank of lieutenant someday and beyond. Hell, who knows? Maybe he already achieved it over the time skip. Don't really give a shit about Full Body, but that's the lieutenant. Moving up to the 8th rank and the highest lieutenant rank, Lieutenant Commander. The only person that we know canon that holds this title currently is Helmeppo, who has this after he was promoted after the time skip. Also brand new, sort of a logistics or intelligence part of the Marines. He was the one that first the guy with the glasses and the green afro. He's the one that relayed the information to the Marine officers of Luffy's first bounty, how Luffy took out all these people in the East Blue and how his first bounty had to be rather high because of that. That's brand new. He's kind of, intelligence. We also had Morgan, who was promoted from Chief Petty Officer up to this position here, Lieutenant Commander. This is the rank that Morgan held while he fought against the Black Cat Pirates. So Kuro beat the shit out of Morgan and crushed his jaw, and I think also fucked up his hand in that fight, and hypnotized him into thinking he defeated Kuro, and so that's how he got promoted to Captain, Morgan. But otherwise, he probably would have stayed Lieutenant Commander, but it was still a pretty high rank for him. Okay, so moving up to straight up Commander, that's the 7th highest rank. This is Commander Ripper, who was in charge of Shelltown after Morgan was arrested or court-martialed. He's still the leader there. But yeah, look at Ripper and Rokukaku. I just felt like these two looked almost exactly the same, so I was very confused when I was making this video here. Also, a commander is Glove, who's this weird Marine with boxing gloves that I do not remember at all, but apparently he fought during the Buster Call at Annie's Lobby. Frankie apparently beat the shit out of him. And the only other commander that we know of, no longer anymore, is Don Quixote Roshinate, who is Doflamingo's younger brother, who was found by Sengoku and became a Marine, and he unfortunately passed away. I'm sorry, Koro-san, I'm sorry. Captain is the 6th rank, and oh my god, we have a lot of them here. But before we get to the actual members, I should mention that just because their rank is captain, think of that more of a rank as in an actual position. Of course, when you're a pirate, you have one captain that, is the head of the ship and tells you what we're doing and stuff, like Luffy is the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates and will forever be the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates. With the Marines, it's purely a rank. So a captain conceivably could be the head of a ship and actually take on the duties as a actual ship captain, but not necessarily. For instance, if a captain was on a ship but a Commodore was also on the ship, the Commodore is the commanding officer, so he would actually take the role of the captain of the ship rather than just captain as a rank, if that makes any sense. So there was quite a few captains that were displayed during the Enies Lobby Buster Call part of that story arc, and many of them had devil fruit powers. So we have Kobe, though, who is currently a captain after the the time skip. He has a pretty badass outfit to boot. We also have T-Bone that was introduced during the gap between Water 7 and Enies Lobby. He was the ship cutter. He was a pretty strong dude. Then we get to the ones that were introduced during Enies Lobby. We have Very Good, who has the power of the berry fruit. He can break up into a bunch of different balls. Frankie beat the shit out of him, and he also appeared in CP9's Independent Report. Shu, who is this random character that only showed up one time, but he was the character that fucking has the Sabi Sabi no Mi, the Rust fruit, that actually destroyed Zoro's Yubashiri. So even it was kind of weird, this side character that we didn't really know about, and we haven't even seen since, was the one to take out one of Zoro's swords. So like, holy shit, don't fuck with Shu. He's pretty dangerous. We have Sharing Guru, who is an interesting little trivia note. He has the power of the wheel fruit. He can turn his hands into wheels and, like, you know, attack people with that. But even though he appeared in the anime, his devil fruit actually did not, for whatever reason, I don't know. So he actually has the only manga exclusive devil fruit that was never shown in the anime that is canon. So that's crazy. And then, of course, we have Gorilla, who is the one that showed up during at Baltimore during Frankie's, you know, side story. You know, he was the one that showed up after Frankie caused the horrible fucking nuclear disaster on Baltimore. He was wait, I think it was after that. It was after that, and then Frankie had the tiger pelt on him, and it was flaming, and that's Gorilla noticed that, him and his crew, and that's how the great legend of the burning beast of Baltimore began. So after Gorilla, we have Tashigi, who is currently a captain after the time skip, and my god, I gotta tell you, getting those ranks in the Marines, if you're female, I mean, it really increases your assets, or your boob sets in Tashigi's case. God damn, what the fuck? Okay, it's like I don't know how that works. It's just like, okay, Tashigi, we're promoting you from ensign to captain. Poof. Oh shit. Okay, whatever. Anyway, that's Oda's prerogative. I'm not complaining. We also have Nezumi, who is that fucking rat bastard that was in line with Arlong during that arc there. Also part of the reason why Luffy got his first bounty was because of that fucking mousy idiot. And I think those are the only ones that we have that are canon. As for ones that not anymore, Morgan, of course, was a captain, Captain Morgan, who is court-martialed and removed after the events of Shelltown. He was kind of abusive to his subordinates and everything like that. Then you have Smoker, who was promoted... he was captain during Logtown and then promoted to Commodore after the events of Alabasta. Virgo, before he became a vice admiral, was a captain, you know, when he was first joining the Marines, probably during the times of Swallow Island, when Law met him when he was a little kid, you know, when Law was a little kid and Virgo was like in his 20s. I think Virgo was a captain at that time there. And then Hina was also a captain at the end of Alabasta. She became a rear admiral after the time skip. So those are all the captains, quite a few of them there. Next up is Commodore, not quite as many here. Brand New, as I mentioned earlier, was promoted to Commodore after captain. Daigen is also a Commodore. Daigen, you might not remember him, but he was the guy that actually showed up at Impel Down when they found out Luffy infiltrated. He was the one that was like, hey, we're the fucking Marines, we're gonna go arrest Monkey D. Luffy. But they didn't, Sadi would not let them into Impel Down because this is like, they viewed it as like, this is an Impel Down matter, he's in here, we're gonna capture him, we're gonna sentence him, you don't have to worry about it. So minor appearance there. Yari Sugi, who's a member of G5, appeared very prominently in Karibo's cover story and a little bit in Punk Hazard as a flashback. Keben, weird situation with Keben. He's a Commodore that did appear in the manga, showed up during Marineford, was not named at all in the manga, but he was named, and I don't think he even had a rank in the manga, but in the anime they gave him a rank and a name. Maybe Oda gave them that information offhand, or maybe they just viewed him as no one gives a shit, so we'll just give him whatever. Then we have Smoker, who was promoted from this position from captain after the events of Alabasta. Finally, we have Pudding, who is a guy that probably nobody fucking remembers, but he was a guy that actually got sent to liberate Arlong Park after the Marines got wind of what was going on there, and the fishmen basically create an artificial whirlpool or maelstrom, and they kill him and his entire crew. So he's one of the first Marines in the story to just straight up die. So Arlong don't fucking play around. Fourth highest rank in the Marines is also the lowest of the Admiral. There's 3 Admiral classes, Fleet Admiral, Admiral... No, actually, there's 4 of them. Fleet Admiral, Admiral, Vice Admiral, and Rear Admiral. Rear Admiral doesn't really get brought up all too much, but it's the 4th highest. Sicily holds this rank. Sicily, you might not remember. Sicily was part of that... I think it was manga only, manga exclusive. Showed up during the meeting between the warlords after Alabasta. But I think in the anime, they used another character than him. But that's Sicily right there. Katakombo was the rear admiral that was sent to capture Luffy's, was sent to capture the Straw Hat Pirates at Sabaody, remember after the events of the time skip at Sabaody, that's, you know, they were getting ready to leave to Fishman Island, and there was a ship that tried to stop them. I think Hancock was the one that stopped their ship, so that's Catacombo. Kadar appeared during the flashback with the Fishman Pirates. Then you have Hina, who was promoted there after the events of the time skip. After she was a captain, now she is a rear admiral, also going along with the same logic of Tashigi. Her boobs got way bigger. Strawberry was a former rear admiral, now a vice admiral, with the guy with the super long hair and the hat. And then this was the position X Drake held, or Diaz Drake, before he defected the Marines altogether. He actually has the moniker of Red Flag Drake, but Drake was in fact a rear admiral before he left. So he had a pretty high rank, actually. Drake did. So it was kind of scary, kind of shitty that he left, because the Marines were like, oh man, he had such a high rank and he defected. He knows all this shit. So I hope to see Drake again. He also appeared in Koribo's cover story, but we haven't really seen him since. Hope to see him more in the future. Oh, and now we finally come to the big stretch here, because I covered a lot of the admirals and the fleet admirals already, but here are the vice admirals, and this is the most numerous rank of the Marines that most people hold, and like I said, these are the ranks that are actually a viable threat to the Straw Hats, so I think that's why there's so many of them. So Oda has like a wide array of people to fight against the main cast. So first is Suru, who is one of the veterans of the Marines. She's been there for a long time, as long as like Garp and in Sengoku. She's revered as the great tactician, so she's pretty dangerous in her own right. She has the wash fruit that allows her to wash pirates out to dry, which is pretty funny. John Giant is next. He's this really professional Marine. He's a giant, but he's one of the smaller giants, but he has this really elaborate outfit, so he's pretty cool. Komil, who's the guy that appeared during Ace's cover story at G2. Momonga, who's fucking badass. I love Momonga, probably one of my favorite vice admirals. He's the guy with the awesome haircut and then the beard, and he fucking fights with a sword, cutting down freaking Sea Kings. I love freaking Momonga. He's badass. Onigumo's the guy that has some sort of spider devil fruit, so he can make a bunch of different spider legs sprout from him. He's pretty badass. Doberman, who's the guy with all the scars on his face, who showed up during the Buster Call. He was one of the vice admirals that led the Buster Call, and maybe he has a devil fruit that turns him into a dog. I don't know. His name's Doberman, so I might figure. Then we have Strawberry, who I mentioned, who was promoted from rear admiral. He has the really tall hairdo. Yamakaji, another guy that showed up during the Buster Call. Don't know much about him. Lacroix and Ronce are both part of the Giant Squad. Every giant that we know the rank of in the Marines, well, not every giant, because Oimo and Kashi didn't hold the rank, but most of the giants that we know in the Giant Squad at Marineford were actually vice admirals. And Jaguar D. Saul was a former Marine, and he was also a vice admiral, so it might be possible that a lot of giants, just because of their size and strength, automatically become vice admirals, maybe. Stainless is next, who's the really suave guy with the handlebar mustache, also uses a sword. Next up is Vice Admiral Mozambaya, who also appeared during the meeting between the different warlords there. He was kind of manipulated by Doflamingo there with his strings. Then we have Cancer, who I guess is Smoker's long-lost brother, because his name's actually Cancer and he smokes a shit ton of cigarettes. Smoker also became a Vice Admiral after the events of the time skip. Next up is Bastille. Bastille is actually the shortest giant we know in the story. He played a big role in Dressrosa. He's the one with the big huge axe thing and a skull mask, which was actually broken. Maynard, who fought as Capman undercover in the Corridia Coliseum. He's also Vice Admiral there, played a big part in Dressrosa. Not a big part, small part there. And yeah, I'm pretty sure, and then in Virgo. Virgo was a former Vice Admiral who was only doing it undercover for the Doflamingo family there, but that's pretty much all of them that are canon. All of the current and the fleet admirals that used to be Vice Admirals. So Kuzan, Sakazuki, Borsellino, they were all Vice Admirals that were promoted to Admirals. As for Admirals themselves, the third rank in the Marines, the second highest rank in the Marines, I don't actually have a lot to say about them because I've already made discussion videos on them. You can go check out my playlist up here. So yeah, Ryokyugu's video will be coming up as soon as we know a little bit more about him. We just don't know anything about this guy. But Admirals, second highest position in the Marines, really fucking scary, kind of viewed as like some of the great authorities, only outclassed by rank number 1 bitches, and that's the Fleet Admiral, currently held by Sakazuki or Akainu, previously held by Sengoku, who was also an admiral before he became a Fleet Admiral. And actually, Sengoku and Garp hold very unique ranks in the Marines. I guess I'll mention that really quickly. And Sengoku holds the rank of General in inspector, whatever the fuck that means, and Garp also holds the rank of just instructor, or so he goes around and teaches young Marines, kind of like a figurehead, but he still retains his rank and his authority there. Kong used to be the Fleet Admiral, but he was actually promoted to a level even above Fleet Admiral, not really part of the Marines at that point, but I will mention it. So Kong is currently the commander-in-chief of the world government. So if you're going to have the rank system, it goes Fleet Admiral, so it would have been Sengoku at one point, now it's currently Sakazuki. Next up is the commander-in-chief, who is Kong, who's in charge of not only all of the Marines, but also the Cypher Pole agencies and shit like that. And then only above Kong, you have the Gorusei, the 5 Elder Stars, who are the heads of the world government. So Kong is more of a member of the world government than an actual Marine, but he does, he's Sengoku's boss, and he can actually control the entire Marines if he actually wanted to, but he usually leaves it up to probably Sakazuki at this point. But he does have authority. So, holy shit. I feel like I'm gonna pass out. That was a long list. I didn't expect that. But thank you guys for watching. I love each and every one of you. Who is your favorite Marine in the story? I'm going to go now, but I just wanted to talk about this, wanted to go through each and every one of them. A lot of the characters in the stories, and I hope we get to see more of them in the future. I hope we get to see Momonga. Really like that guy. I hope he fights Zoro. That'd be pretty fucking kick-ass. But anyway, yeah, thanks you guys for watching. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Love you guys.